Sagittarius is when you touch that and you feel the electricity pulsing through a human being, that's Sag. So
Okay.
you've got a Sag rising with a Scorpio moon and an Aries sun. Mama, oh my God.
Almost dying taught me how to live. Being struck by a car left me in a 3.5-week coma with 15 broken bones and 16 surgeries to complete, including brain surgery. However, I woke up from that coma in an even greater place than I ever foresaw for myself. How? The universe will guide you out of the darkness and into the light if you allow it. Often, spirituality comes off as too highbrow. I'm not about that. Welcome to the podcast that talks and teaches about it through the lens of humor. Together, we'll harness positive energy and use it to work with the universe, all while giggling the entire time. Welcome to Gabriella Rebranded. Win most, lose some. Today, I'm so excited to be talking to Danny Santos, astrologer, ayahuasca shaman, ayahuasca shaman, spiritual teacher, life coach, just all the things. I just went to Danny's brand launch event last night, Danny Santos and the Crystal Visions, and it was absolutely amazing to be around so many like-minded individuals. We have a few things in common. Both USC grads.
Fight on, baby.
Fight on.
Yes.
Both have doctors for, well, you have multiple doctors for parents.
I have two
one.
doctor parents.
I have one doctor for a parent. And in your own words, on the winter solstice in 2020, you signed a contract with the universe.
I did.
To bring about the magic of astrology, shamanism, plant medicine to the world.
I did.
Which I absolutely love. If I was going to go through your entire journey, this would take 7 hours.
For sure.
You've lived 7 lives.
I feel like it. I got 2 left if I'm a cat.
So just give the listeners a little bit of your, over what you took as, I know being a Cuban American was really important in your background. So just give like whatever you want to say about your journey.
Sure. So as a child, I'm the son of 2 immigrants. So my parents were both born in Cuba and first generation Cuban American. I was brought here. Well, not here, but I was born in Michigan. And I grew up to Catholic conservative Cuban parents, the triple C. So, so it was like, in a lot of ways, I was very much the boy next door. Like having 2 doctor parents, nobody drank alcohol. Like things were very clean and regimented and like these kinds of things. And very quickly, like I just became a very social kid, and like I was the homecoming king in high school, and like very quickly developed a huge love for community. And I've always been someone who's just been a bit of a Renaissance man. I was like the captain of the wrestling team in high school. I was like in the musicals, and I was doing theater and in band and all of this kind of stuff. And eventually, when I graduated high school, I went to film school.
USC.
I did. I did. But before that, I was in Michigan. There's a school I transferred from called Oakland University.
Oh, okay.
And I started studying astrology when I was 11.
I can't believe, I don't even think I knew what astrology was when I was 11.
Oh my God. Well, astrology to me, like my mom just very casually mentioned to me, she's like, oh yeah, you and grandma are both Aquariuses. And I was like, what is that? So I went online to read about what an Aquarius was, and it turns out I'm a Pisces. So
another water sign.
Another water sign. And from there, I don't know why, but I became obsessed with astrology. I started asking every single person I knew what their sign was. I wanted to psychologically diagnose and like understand people based on this like tool. And I found it to be very accurate. So like to this day, I'm still like this. But at 11, I would ask the waiter at the restaurant, what's your sign? Or the person at the bank, or like, you know, it doesn't matter where I was. That's the question on the tip of my tongue.
That's one of the first questions I want to ask everyone. And I'm like, they'll probably think I'm crazy.
So astrology evolved into, when I was in college at Oakland University, I joined a psychic meditation group. So it was this woman who is a Wiccan witch and a shaman, and she had this store called Mystic Mountain Gifts. So I used to do transcendental meditation with them. That's where I learned how to read tarot cards. And then I learned how to do the basics of exorcism. And like they taught me
God, exorcism.
Yes. And we would go on like these like little what is that called? When you a field trip to like
A field trip?
to haunted houses and stuff. And
Wait,
like
that's so fun.
yeah, it was amazing. Like this was my first exposure to more of like the paranormal side of life. Cause you have to understand my upbringing, boy next door, very clinical, like
Yes.
very involved in school. And then all of a sudden, once I graduated, I started like discovering more of the witchy side of life. And little did I know, when I started reading tarot, I started doing it for my aunt. And she's like, oh, you're just like your grandmother. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, your great grandmother was a tarot card reader in Spain.
Oh, whoa.
And she actually stopped reading tarot because like some Catholic priest came to her local village and was like, this is against God. And so she stopped, but I have her original deck still.
Oh my God, that must be so like, that is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really precious like heirloom of mine. And at the event last night, I had her photo framed and I had it out on display just to honor her because I feel like so much of my journey is like reflective of hers.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
She would be so proud of you.
I know. I love you, Grandma, if you're listening. And once I graduated from USC Film School, this is when I started working in the entertainment industry. And I worked at a documentary film production company. I worked at a music management office that was responsible for putting on the music for The Lion King with Beyonce and stuff. So I got to be like in the room as we're recording like the orchestra and stuff. It was amazing. It was so cool. And
wait, did you meet Beyonce?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I walked past Pharrell Williams like 10 times.
Oh my God.
You know, he was like the distance between you and I many times.
So special.
It was really cool. Shout out to you, Pharrell. And I never met him, but I walked past him a lot and got him a water bottle.
That's once. Oh, I got him a water.
Yeah. So, you know.
Yeah.
But after that, I started working on a television show with the actor Darren Criss.
Oh, yes.
Are you familiar?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
I've been to one of his concerts actually.
Oh my God.
He and Lee Michelle did a concert that I went to. Yes.
So Darren, he and his wife own the bar Tramp Stamp Grannies.
Oh, the bar that you had your event at last night that I love.
Yes. So Darren and his wife Mia, when I met them on set working on this show for Darren, it was a show called Royalties that was originally supposed to be for Quibi. Do you remember Quibi?
I remember Quibi.
Yeah, it was supposed to be on Quibi. Now it's on Roku. But I met Darren filming on this. I was assigned to be his executive assistant, and he and I formed a deep relationship. And that's when he and his wife solicited to me to be their personal assistant.
So amazing.
So I started working for Darren, and then that's when I started doing a lot of stuff for Tramp Stamp Grannies and like working to assist Alex, who is the head bartender last night. And things just started taking off until the pandemic happened.
Yes.
So I had never done any astrology readings professionally or anything.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I had done thousands and thousands of readings for people.
Yes.
It was just the thing. I'm like talking to the waiter about their time of birth and stuff at the restaurant,
Yes.
right? So by the time the pandemic happened, I launched Santos and the Crystal Visions. And that's when I started getting clients and like actually able to transition out of being a personal assistant to doing this full time.
So exciting. I'm so excited to have you read my birth chart.
Oh my God, I'm excited too.
Yeah.
And when I was working at the documentary company, that's when I first heard about ayahuasca.
Yes. Which, oh my God, we have to talk a little bit about that. So you spent 2 months in the Amazon in Peru in 2023.
Yeah.
Which I feel like ayahuasca is like this myth. Like everyone I know knows someone who knows someone that did ayahuasca. Yes, but you yourself are the ayahuasca. You just told me that you've done it 74 times.
74 ceremonies to this point, and I've got more scheduled ahead of me now.
Oh my God, I'm going to do one eventually.
We're going to do it, baby.
I'm so excited. How did you like get involved in that? Like you took your journey to the Amazon in 2023. Like, do you apply online? Like, how does that work?
Right. So the first way I ever heard about it was just like casually surfing the internet. An article about ayahuasca came up because as a spiritual person, I would always read spiritual articles, and I learned about this like indigenous plant medicine and how it can like heal your soul and change your life. And I even watched a documentary about it at that time, and I thought it was interesting. And about 10 years passed between then and when I actually got the job at Breakwater Studios, which is the documentary company I worked at. And the woman in the finance department was like, oh, I just did ayahuasca this weekend. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And like, can I get the contact? So she gave me the info. And I had just left that job and I was temping at a few different places in entertainment industry. I was actually at Dick Clark Productions.
Mm-hmm.
So I was temping there.
Do.
I know. And when I signed up for it, I was like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this. And I did the first ceremony, and they actually had to like remove me from the room because I was vomiting so much.
Oh my God.
Because ayahuasca, it makes you
Yes.
vomit. It can make you defecate yourself. Like it cleanses the liver, the kidney, the bloodstream. So that was my first exposure to it. And at that time, I had lost like 60 pounds really fast.
Amazing.
Just because I did the ayahuasca and I changed my diet.
Yes, I heard. Yeah, I listened to your podcast. You became vegan.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not a vegan anymore,
Okay.
but at that time, like it was amazing. It really leveled me up to the next vibration. So after that, I eventually kept doing the ayahuasca ceremonies, and eventually my teacher was like, "You're ready to go to be with the tribe."
That is so exciting.
Yeah.
That's truly an honor. I know you received the title of Dawn from the Shipibo tribe.
Yes.
So cool. Coming from parents who are doctors, like there are a lot of people that when you said this, they were probably like, this is fucking crazy. And plant medicine doesn't work. What would you say to all those people?
Right. Well, first of all, anyone who knows me, it's basically like, that makes sense. Like, of course he's going down this path. But for people who might question like plant medicine, I would say it's not for everyone. So if you have specific like medical or health concerns, like somebody who might be predisposed to schizophrenia or who has high or low blood pressure that's like more regular than the normal, or there's just a lot of other things. There's certain medications you can't be on to do ayahuasca. So it's healthy and okay to be skeptical about it. And I do not recommend anybody who's like on the fence about it or does not want to do it should ever do it.
Okay.
Because once you're on the ride, you're not getting off. Like the trip lasts 4 to 6 hours. It can even go longer than that. And it's such an intense journey, you can't get it to stop. So if you really don't want to be doing it, even if you do want to be doing it, oftentimes it's pushing your boundaries.
Yeah. I definitely need to look in to make sure I can do it, brain injury and all, but I really want to do it. I really want to do it. I'm really excited for it. The next thing I wanted to ask a little bit about was when I went on your website and heard about the sign of the raven.
Yes.
Caput Corvi. Am I saying that right?
Corpus, oh my gosh. Corpus Covi, is that it?
Yes.
You have it.
Yes. So amazing. I never heard about it before. Can you explain what it is for the listeners?
Yeah. So the Corpus Corvi is it's the symbol of the raven. So when a raven is holding a stone in its mouth, this is a sign that the raven is choosing you. So the Corpus Corvi is this idea that like it's a shamanic initiation.
Oh, so it's like it's time for you to go do this.
Yes, but it's like a sign from nature.
From the universe. Yes.
Yes, like it's not something that you can just like be initiated by like going to the tribe and, traveling and doing their classes and then whatever. Like this was literally before I went to Peru. I was about to propose to my boyfriend at the time. I literally like had this butterfly. I was going to give it to him and tell him like, you're the love of my life. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And it didn't end up working out.
Okay.
But that same day, as I was like getting ready, with this idea of a proposal in mind, I saw a raven flying and then another one flying right behind it, and it dropped a stone from the sky. And I was like, whoa.
Magical.
I thought that was really cool.
Yes.
And I was like, cool. Like it caught my attention. And as I was walking, I heard the raven fly into the tree behind my head. And I looked over and it started squawking at me, and it had the stone that it dropped from the sky in its mouth.
That's insane.
So literally the Corpus Corvi symbol of the raven holding the stone in its mouth, it's like, I saw it with my own eyes on the day that I was going to propose to my boyfriend at the time.
That is so aligned.
But I was being proposed to by the raven.
Or being proposed to by the raven. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so...
people who are purely atheists, I'm like, how?
But like, that was literally probably the most surreal day of my life. The reason I know about this initiation, there's an artist named Kim Kranz. So she does like the Wild Unknown Tarot. She's got the alchemy deck, the archetypes, and the Corpus Corvi is one of the cards in her alchemy deck. So I had literally been using the deck. I saw that card earlier that day, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. And like I had the image burned into my mind of the raven holding the stone. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, Like, this is happening.
It's my time.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's my time. Then when the universe calls us, we show up.
Yeah.
You and I both are doing what we didn't think we would do. But when the universe calls, you listen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, I had this plan that me and my boyfriend were going to get married, and that was like the be all end all. And I was going to walk away from my path as a shaman to go be with him.
No, not worth it.
Well, he was in recovery. So
Okay.
he struggled with addiction.
Mhm.
And I was like, you know what? Like, what really matters, like love and being there for the person you love. And like, I really was holding on tight to that. And what really mattered was actually like loving myself and enduring my own journey and all of that.
Well, I think also it's, as a shaman, I know you're very interested in trauma survivors, PTSD survivors, veterans, survivors of human trafficking, sexual abuse. That is very much devoting your life to service and to other people.
Yeah.
And what do you hope to give?
Wow, this is an amazing question. The long-term vision is to have Santos and the Crystal Visions become an organization that's focused on like just bringing relief and humanitarian efforts to the masses. So my demographic is the underdog, the wounded, the traumatized, and my platform is anybody who makes mistakes.
Okay.
Because we all as humans make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
And like redemption is possible. That's why faith-based organizations exist. Ideally, like we redeem ourselves. We have the opportunity to heal or to make amends or to forgive or apologize. So with the organization, you heard the show last time you came. So I sing, I write songs, I play music.
Oh, so beautiful.
Thank you.
I was like, he does it all.
Well, anything with sound and music. That's why I went into shamanism.
Okay.
Because the Shipibo lineage, you sing during the ayahuasca ceremonies.
Oh.
And the songs are what performs surgery on the soul.
Surgery on the soul. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's the Shipibo way. So when you drink the ayahuasca, the spirits come in, you begin to have the veil between here and the other realms dissolve. And then that's when you can invite ancestors and spirits to perform soul surgery on you. So
oh my God.
There have been shamans who clear like medical conditions. And, the lineage that I work through, they said they had somebody who had AIDS that got cured of AIDS there. They can help cure people of cancer. But these are with more extensive plant medicines along with the ayahuasca ceremonies. But
I've had 16 surgeries in the past 3 years, and none of them were soul surgeries. So sign me up for some soul surgery.
Well, and in the off chance that you couldn't do ayahuasca, we can still do that level of shamanism on you through a breathwork class, through sound healing. I can still chant on you.
Oh, amazing.
So the ayahuasca just
sign me up.
Lifts the veil. It just removes what's between you seeing and not seeing, but the tools work the same whether you see it or not.
And you didn't stop. Like, you could have just stopped at astrologer, but you didn't stop. You just kept adding. You just kept adding all the things. And I know it's all connected, like the universe, it's all connected, but why did you why were you so invigorated to just keep adding?
Well, I think in a way, this is a greatest strength, greatest weakness kind of thing, like the jack of all trades, master of none. So I actually almost just walked away from my path as a shaman again.
Oh, really?
There have been 3 separate instances in my life where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Throwing this launch party was the most anxiety-ridden, fear of imposter syndrome, all of that. And I realized,
as an attendee, it was beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I felt amazing afterwards. But I think anytime when I did spiritual life coaching, I always made my clients throw themselves a party at the end.
Oh, we all deserve to celebrate ourselves.
Well, to have a ceremony. Because truly, that launch event last night was a ceremony. And I always taught my clients, things are going to happen. People aren't going to show up. People are going to say they will and then they won't. You're going to plan for something and things go wrong. And yes, I've coached so many people through this process, but this was me actually living it myself. And I was like, oh my God, life is a ceremony and things do go wrong.
Things go wrong every day.
So the goal of the organization is just to bring healing and to help people, that's ultimately it. And I could have stopped at astrologer, but being somebody who is just ADHD, highly curious, I have a love for blending techniques.
Yes.
I think
neurodivergent.
Exactly. Yes. Like seeing, this and this are a little in common. And I'm taking the 12 signs of the zodiac and combining it with the 12-step program.
Yes.
And creating my own sacred blend called 12 Steps, 12 Signs.
You were talking about that last night. I was like, that is so cool. Yeah. Well, as a trauma survivor, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
So as we've talked about, you do everything. You host retreats. You work with individuals. You even work at corporate events.
Yeah.
What have you learned about humanity from meeting all these different aspects of humans?
Sure. I've gotten a lot of blessed opportunities.
Yeah.
So I've worked with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. So they did a feature on me in sound healing. I've worked with Tony's Chocolonely, if you're familiar with the company.
No.
I got to shout Tony's out because they're the only chocolate company that does not use child labor.
Oh my, chocolate companies use child.
Yeah. So it's like that's why it's Chocolonely, because they're lonely in the fact that they don't use child labor. They're the only one.
Okay, so it's not actually lonely. It's just like morally correct.
Yes, exactly. But Tony's is like, we want to not be lonely, like get more people on board with it. So they have a good humanitarian mission. I've also worked at the Adult Video Network Awards with a nonprofit organization called Pineapple Support.
Yes.
So anywhere from trauma survivors to porn stars to whatever, like my organization is open to everyone because regardless of what someone does for a living, we're all part of the human experience.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I think in the future, I'll probably do another episode specifically talking about like sex.
Sure.
Yeah. And maybe Nadesh will come on it too. I think would be so cool.
Yes.
Yes. I feel like I want to dive into that a little bit more. But it needs like its own space.
Yeah. But when I think about like all of these different demographics, everybody in the world needs healing.
Yeah.
You know, whether you're a nun or a porn star,
everyone needs healing.
Everyone can benefit from healing somehow. And as someone in my life who's made a lot of mistakes, and I'm saying like a lot of dumb mistakes, stupid mistakes, like shame can really take over the human psyche. And the purpose of my organization is to help people heal from shame so that we can have a more humanitarian mission towards love in the collective.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Where can the listeners hear more about you, take advantage of these services, everything that you offer?
Yeah, so people can find me at www.santoscrystalvisions.com, where you got a lot of this great information on me. You can also find me on Instagram at Santos Crystal Visions, TikTok at Santos Crystal Visions, and my own podcast, the Astro Daddy podcast.
I love the Astro Daddy podcast. Yes. Great name.
Thank you.
And hopefully TikTok doesn't get taken away from us.
Well, it seems like it's not going to be.
So for now,
we're still live and running.
Donald Trump wants to keep it, which I think is very ironic because he famously hates China.
Right.
And now he's the one that wants to keep.
It's all politics.
It's all politics.
I don't fully understand, but.
I don't get it. All right. Well, now I guess we can dive in.
I would love to.
The birth chart.
Take a look at your birth chart.
Yes. Danny's going to take a look at my birth chart. This is crazy. I'm so excited.
I am too. And basically the breakdown is I use the astrological birth chart to prep people to go do the ayahuasca ceremonies.
Okay, so now I'm prepped.
Yeah, well, of course, there's also like an intake form. We have to make sure that you're like medically safe to do it. If there's any medications you're on that you're not supposed to be on, like you would have to wean off of those with obviously the support of a medical team or a doctor. Yes. So given that you have a parent who's a doctor, that could probably help you.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You know?
I'm actually surprisingly because, brain surgery, like all the kinds, I'm not on a lot of medications. I'm on 2, but I'm not, you would think I'd be on like 12.
Sure. Yeah. So those are all things to take into consideration. But regardless, your birth chart is what I call your soul's blueprint.
Okay.
So it's going to show me your natural strengths, your weaknesses, your relationships, your romantic love, your career, your personal life, and your soul's destiny.
Okay.
It's the thing that you are like here to learn.
All right.
It's showing you about your life's purpose.
Okay.
So in your birth
I'm getting
chart,
nervous.
Well, do you want to start with soul destiny or just personality stuff?
I guess personality ease into the big one.
Yeah. So you're an Aries.
Yes.
So what do you know about being an Aries?
Competitive.
Yes.
Likes to be right.
Yes.
Can be a little me. First in the zodiac.
Well, yeah.
Very passionate.
Yes.
Gets angry really quickly, but gets over it just as quickly.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why the planet Mars does really well in a sign like Aries, because Mars is our temper. Aries it's angry and then it's over.
Yeah.
Like, so what I use in Aries, like I've given each sign of the zodiac its own sacred law.
Okay.
So for Aries, in the 12 steps, it's step number 1. So that first step is you are divine.
Oh.
So when we incarnate as an Aries, we're learning about loving ourselves more.
Oh,
Just being yourself is the life lesson.
yeah.
So to have
I've
this,
really had to work on that. So that makes sense.
yeah, well, the shadow of Aries, the shadow of being yourself is shame. So because it's the first sign of the zodiac, every other sign will follow suit with this. So
Okay.
shame is the universal human emotion in the
Yes.
dark sense, whereas love or joy, connection is the also universal in the high sense.
Yeah.
Because the opposite of connection is shame.
Yeah.
So the ascended virtue of Aries becomes authenticity and courage.
Okay. Authenticity is definitely an affirmation that I have right now. And it's very true about me is I live in authenticity. I keep
Yes.
it real.
Well, and Aries, it's ruled by Mars, the
Yeah.
planet of sex. So, and also getting what you want, desire, making shit happen.
I love getting what I want. I always get what I want.
Yes. So being an Aries, like it's just natural for you to take an initiative in life. This is the sign of like, go get what you want.
Yeah.
So you have this on an ego level. Your sun sign is Aries.
Yeah.
So when we have the moon in Scorpio, Scorpio is the sign of change.
Mm-hmm.
And the moon is where we want things to be stable and consistent. The moon represents our heart,
Yeah.
So like to have this change of heart is actually a big thing to do. So to be born with the moon in Scorpio, that's where the moon is in its downfall. Like it's the least comfortable spot for the moon to be aside from Capricorn, because the shadow of change is chaos, instability, transformation in the bad way. Whereas the ascended virtues of Scorpio become transformation in the good way and judgment.
I
So,
frequently say my Scorpio moon is ruining my life.
well, and you have the asteroid Chiron, the wounded healer, directly on top of your moon. So that's going to show a wounded relationship with the mother or the personal life in your childhood, inheriting, because it's Scorpio, all of the shadows of your bloodline and like having to deject it out of yourself. So your instinct in life to change comes from the fact that maybe you were born in an environment where you had to change, you had to transform yourself.
Yeah, I don't think I was necessarily born in an environment where I had to change or transform myself. I think that came into my own life given what's happened to me recently.
Yeah.
But there is definitely, I've always kind of been an other within my family. Like
Mm,
everybody in my family sort of, pursued the sciences. I was a theater major and now I'm doing this. Like
gotcha.
I've always definitely been like even at family holidays with like extended family, I'm the one that's reactive. I'm the one that causes the drama. That's always the rep I've been given
Right.
to it, like, and so much so that like it's not true, it's not accurate, but but that I've always been another within the family.
Yeah. And Scorpio, it's the sign of darkness.
Mhm.
So we can think of like being the black sheep or the odd one out is a
Yeah.
common experience,
Yeah.
And also this idea of like, you said you had how many surgeries?
16 in the past 3 years.
Okay. So that's
Yes.
also very Scorpio because it's the sign of surgical operations.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Also things like knives, sharp objects.
Well,
like-
I'm good at that.
But you've got a Scorpio moon with then this wounded healer thing going on. So you're a healer. Your instinct is to heal other people
Yeah.
and to deal with traumatized people.
Well, that's my mission. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I myself have been wounded. So it all
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes. So
Yes.
my career sign is Scorpio. So what I do for work and how you respond to life, this moon, it's the same thing.
Okay.
So it's just for you. Anytime you talk to someone or you're in contact with them, you're going to want to help them eliminate their shadow because that's the purpose of Scorpio.
Oh,
If it were a location on Earth, we're talking bathrooms, garbage disposals. It's where the
Yes.
waste goes.
okay.
Because Scorpio's job is to remove the waste.
Okay.
So this kind of energy, that's what you do emotionally.
Yeah. I'm like overly considerate of others. I've been like really trying to work on like living for myself more. I'm always putting other people first. Taylor Swift actually released a song called Oh My God, You're Losing Me. That's what it's called. It came out like a year or two ago. And she has this line in it that like has really like inspired me to work on it where she says, and I wouldn't marry me either, a pathological people pleaser. And I have a tendency to be a pathological people pleaser.
Aha.
And I was like, I want to be someone worth marrying. So I've been really working on that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well,
Yes.
we can think about this concept of having had 16 surgeries and still like making it through. There is a Scorpio element of that because of all of the surgical operations, but your rising sign is Sagittarius.
Yeah.
This is the sign of faith.
Oh,
You know?
well, yeah, I tried, I believe, I trust. It's all going to be good.
Yeah, literally, that's Sagittarius's message.
Oh,
So it's the sign of optimism. That's the tool.
and everybody says, whenever people meet me, they say I'm so optimistic. And what's so funny is I've only, like now one of the first 3 words people use when they describe me is like positive or cheery. And before I got hurt, no one would have said that about me.
Really?
But when I got hurt and I really had to rely on trust and I found the universe, I always have this bubbly sort of energy about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think of my aunt is also a Sagittarius
Okay.
rising. When she was like 3 years old, my mom, there's, sisters, my mom fed her like petunias or something in the yard, and the petunias had like some kind of fertilizer on them that caused my aunt to almost die. So at a young age, what the Sagittarius rising placements, they face death in a way that is so intense that the rest of their life is a cakewalk compared to the.
Oh my God.
So you have a Sag rising.
Yes.
So you're like, I have no reason not to be positive.
No, exactly. I did experience death, like or almost death. And like, yeah, I'm like, I have no reason. And I've already done the worst thing that I will hopefully, like I've already been through the worst of it, you know?
Yeah. Well, and with the Scorpio moon, like you're no stranger to the darkness either.
Yeah.
Like you understand trauma, you understand what it feels like to be on the outside or
Been there, done that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And like it's the instability of life.
Mhm.
So I'm happy to hear that you did not have instability in your childhood from your family. A lot of Scorpio placements will,
Mhm.
because it's like they're genetically they inherit the trauma of their ancestors.
That is so interesting to me that you say that, because I'm thinking about the Scorpios that I know in my life, and they do tend to have like sort of fucked up family situations.
Yeah, broken homes.
Yeah.
Maybe a parent was absent or they
Yeah.
lost a parent or there was someone who was an addict in the house.
Yeah.
That's a very Scorpio experience.
Okay.
You
Very
know?
interesting.
Yes.
Yes.
Whereas like the initiation with Sag is like, you almost die, but then you don't.
But then you don't.
Yeah.
You say, surprise, bitch, you haven't seen the last of me. Yeah.
Well, it's like Sagittarius is the sign of having faith, like believing that everything's going to work out no matter what. But it's also the trickster.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you didn't get me this time, death.
That's what I said to everyone, because I was in a coma for 3.5 weeks,
Oh my
and
God.
I had an over 99% chance of dying. Like my dad, who is a doctor, thought they were going to have to turn off the machines. That was his best bet.
Wow.
And I tell everyone, I'm like, I just like to commit to the bit.
Yeah. Is she going to die? Is she not? We don't
keep
know.
them on their toes.
Yeah, there you go. Very Sag of you.
Plot twist.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, we also look at your birth chart to see, your destiny sign is Virgo.
Oh, my destiny is Virgo. Interesting.
Yes, because the North Node in astrology is how I understand destiny. This is the information you're looking to take in.
Okay.
This is how you want to expand yourself. This is the greater meaning or the tools that you're looking to develop.
All right.
So when your destiny is one sign, the past life is always in the opposite sign.
Okay.
So destiny Virgo, past life in Pisces.
All right.
So you've got Venus in Pisces and Jupiter in Pisces.
I'm having a little bit of a moment right now, because so I made a PowerPoint one time with my friend about our compatibility with boys we've fucked based on our zodiac signs.
Right.
And I realized that my heart loves Virgos, my vagina loves Pisces.
Oh my God.
Neither of which I am compatible with. So this is very interesting to me.
Right. Well, because of the Scorpio moon, you'll be compatible in many ways with Virgo or Pisces.
Okay.
Because Pisces it's the sign of making mistakes.
All right.
That's why my organization, my sun, moon, and Mercury are all Pisces.
Oh, okay.
So Pisces is knowing the darkness, but still choosing the light.
Okay.
That's why it's the sign of redemption.
All right. Knowing the darkness, but still choosing the light.
Yes.
All right.
So because you've got Venus and Jupiter and your past life sign here, you know the darkness and know how to choose the light.
Yeah.
Pisces and Sagittarius, signs of faith.
Mm-hmm.
You can do faith all day. You've got Sag rising and all of this Pisces in your chart.
Okay.
So it's easy for you.
All right.
The virtue of Pisces is love. And just speaking with you, you're totally lovely. You're filled with
Oh,
so much love.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
The shadows of Pisces, maybe this is what you came to transcend in this lifetime. We're talking escapism, neglect, or dissociation. So, as a Pisces myself, I can certainly dissociate into like astrology or neglecting my taxes or these kinds of things.
Yeah.
You know, so you might relate on some level of like, oh, I need to get my things in order.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
But the ascended virtues of Pisces would be like redemption and devotion.
Okay.
Pouring your heart into the things that you love and redeeming yourself.
Okay.
So, according to your birth chart, you have mastered Pisces. You have maxed the Pisces punch card out where you can't get any more and make progress as a soul.
All right.
You know?
Okay.
Like it doesn't help you to become any more lenient or faithful or forgiving or
Yeah, I've already done that. I am very lenient. I am very forgiving. I'm forgiving to a fault.
yeah.
And I'm very faithful. Yes.
Yeah. So and also like just being loving. You know what really matters in terms of life. Love. Love is the
Yeah.
meaning of life. So in a destiny sense, you're being thrown into the opposite territory.
Okay.
Virgo.
All right.
So
my destiny.
yeah, let's talk a little bit about it. So if Pisces is knowing the darkness and choosing the light, Virgo is just the light.
Okay.
The light of getting it right the first time.
All right. Yeah, because Virgos tend to be like very perfectionist.
Yes. My parents are both Virgos.
Oh,
so
that
I
must
know
have
this
been
one.
hard.
My
Yes.
doctor Virgo parents.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
I know, right? So we think about your destiny in this lifetime. The virtue of Virgo is order. You're learning how to put things in the right order. All of your Pisces stuff shows that you could maybe like fall in love really quickly or like
Oh my God. I have one date with somebody and in my head, I've always written the entire plan, but then the Aries in me comes in and I'm like bored onto the next I'm onto the next shiny thing.
Oh my gosh.
Very quickly.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense with that Pisces South node. Like you love love.
Yeah.
It's easy for you. You
Yeah.
can do love. But Virgos are stingier. Think of Beyonce. She literally says, like, I'm stingy with my love.
Yeah.
And she's a Virgo. So,
Okay.
so she's working with that Virgo energy. So Virgo is order, details, organization, perfectionism. It's about the light of getting it right and getting it right the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's your destiny to maybe not be so lenient or forgiving or fall in love on the first date.
That's what I'm working on. So
Yeah.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Those are the things. Yeah, I'm forgiving to a fault. That is something I'm trying to work on. And I'm definitely trying to work on, meeting someone once and being like, I already have named our kids.
Well, and that's like a very Pisces thing. Like for me, I go on a day and I'm like, oh my God, we're going to get married.
Yeah.
Like so me being a Pisces, I'm comfortable territory for you, like the shamanism, the spirituality, like all of that. But because you've maxed your Pisces card out, us hanging out, like I can heal you and help bring these things towards you. But you probably already know a lot about healing. You've got a Scorpio moon, you've got that healer asteroid on top of that moon. The bigger stretch for you is actually like the practical stuff in life. So getting your taxes paid on time, going on a date that leads to another date that leads to a third date, and then like sleeping with someone on the fourth date and like having things go in order in a more systemized structure. Does that make sense?
I feel like I'm being called out for my tendency to sleep with somebody on the first date.
Girl, I'm a Pisces. I do it too. Like I get it,
Yeah.
But after being a shaman, they actually taught us like you need to conserve your energy and like there's a bit more of that relaxation to it. But with this Virgo energy, the shadows of Virgo are going to be anxiety and control.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Tell me
Because
why.
I get anxious and I have anxiety like pretty easily. I overthink so much. Like one of my friends who's older and more mature than me is like, I'm going to practice tough love on you. Like, you need to not care. Like, you need to not care. Like, he's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All the people that you love you. Who the fuck cares?
Is this friend a Virgo?
No, they're a Cancer, actually.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, you know what? It's still working for
Yes.
you. If Virgo is like the light of getting it right, Virgo you can be controlling, detail oriented, or controlling, perfectionistic, or anxious. Those are
Yes.
shadows. But like being critical and getting results the right way is actually helping you in a certain degree. It's
Okay.
still a lower vibration of Virgo, but if you can actually like start getting results by being a bit more sharp or a bit more like getting it right, that's going to help you,
Okay.
you
Like
know?
just like being more, because the whole thing about order is me. I'm very like, I don't keep a schedule as much as I should. Like I forget, like forget. I'm like, oh, I have to go grocery shopping. I'm gonna push that off 2.5 weeks. Like I'm
Right.
very like I kind of live in a little bit of chaos, and then like in 24 hours I'll clean it all up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That makes a lot of sense. And like with me, I prepped your birth chart and I got a minor detail wrong. And
yes,
then I had to redo the chart. Like that's a very Pisces thing to do.
okay,
Virgos would never. Like
never.
it's like they double, they triple check, you know, it's a more detail oriented way of living. So we think about this ascended virtue of Virgo. What's the opposite of control? How can we get something to the purpose of control is to get a specific result. How can we get the result without the control being
Yeah,
there? The ascended virtue for Virgo is grace.
grace,
If you can gracefully get the result without controlling it,
controlling it.
yes. I mean, gracefully, like manipulating it in a positive way or controlling it with grace is going to take the sting of criticism, perfectionism, and anxiety out of the individual.
Okay.
So you're here to learn how to like set boundaries because that's a Virgo lesson.
I need to learn how to be better about setting boundaries. Yes, 100%.
And what's the best way to set boundaries? Gracefully. So that's your life lesson is like
Grace.
learning to say no, setting boundaries.
I'm learning the power of no, it's something that I'm actively working on at the current
Yeah.
moment.
Well, because you've mastered Pisces, you
Yeah.
can't become any more loving, redemption. Like
Yeah.
you just can't.
Yeah.
You've got the pieces. So Virgo is like, now it's time to get a little like strict and say, like, I don't do this. I don't want to do that. This needs to be right. We got to be on time with this. Here's my calendar. Here's my schedule. It's the details.
Yes. That is like very that I resonate a lot with that because just I've been saying when people haven't been like the most kind to me in the past, something that I've said is like, all I do is love people. I don't get why I'm getting this back. Like all I do is because I truly like I always have like I just love. And then when
Yeah.
I'm getting like pushback from people, I'm like, I don't get it. Like all I do is love. And then also about the whole controlling energy, that's very important to my whole spiritual journey because something that I am learning or have learned and I'm actively working on is like relaxing, as I call it, my chokehold grip on the universe, like, and having to relax that. And like a big problem in my whole spiritual shift was I was very like, I want to be healed in this amount of time. I want this surgery to go perfect so I can do this thing. And I need to get back to my life and need to get back to everything by this time. And everything needs to go perfectly. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's really cool about astrology under my belief system
Yeah.
is that your life was pre planned.
Okay.
And you like reviewed the tapes of your past lives and you're like, what could I actually benefit from having more of? And Virgo brings us order and boundaries and this excellence. So everything in your life, from having all of these surgeries to your relationships, to the failed ones, to the good ones, they're set up to make you more graceful, to have those boundaries, to use, I like to say Virgo's tool is the scissors.
Oh,
It's learning to make cuts, but they're refined cuts.
oh, that's
It's not
beautiful.
an all or nothing. Gemini is the sword.
The Gemini's the sword.
We're gonna,
Gemini's like, we're done.
yeah. We're setting a boundary. There's a hard wall, like, whereas Virgo, instead, those scissors, it's like, let's cut around the edges. Let's
Okay.
refine, let's perfect.
Okay.
And the purpose of Virgo destiny or North Node is Virgo is the sign that can take any other sign of the zodiac and bring it to perfection. Or perfection is actually a shadow, excellence.
Excellence.
So the virtues for Virgo are grace and excellence.
Okay.
So you don't have this standard of perfection looming over you.
Okay. Something I definitely need to work on.
Yeah.
And I have terrible fine motor skills, so it makes sense that I'm not great at that.
Aha. Well, that's set up in
Yes.
your life on purpose to force you to slow down, to make sure that things are like done in a detail,
okay. Yes.
detail-oriented way.
Yeah, I know. I'm feeling
You're
it.
living it.
I'm living it. It's all happening.
Yeah. Now, what's cool between Virgo and Pisces is they share the virtue of purity.
Okay.
Because Pisces, it's the last sign of the zodiac. It's the purity that we all make mistakes.
Okay.
We're all human. Virgo is the purity of, if I really set my mind to it, I can get things as close to excellence as possible.
Okay.
So you're also like improving that virtue as well.
Okay. Purity doesn't mean sexually pure, right?
You know, in some instances it could.
Okay, because that's not me.
Well, Virgo is a very sexual sign.
Oh, okay.
She's the fertility goddess.
Oh,
you know?
Wow.
When you have Nadежda on the podcast, Pleasure Science, shout out. You got to talk to her about Virgo because she did a whole like dissertation on the goddess of Virgo and how she's like this incredibly fertile woman.
Oh,
and then
exciting.
she was brought into like this chaste way of being.
Okay.
So Virgo does not mean sexual purity that you can't have sex. It means your energy is whole unto yourself first, and then you unleash it on who you choose to.
And then you unleash,
You know, it's to channel that sexual
well,
energy.
I do that.
Yeah. Well, with all of this Pisces is the sign of orgasms.
Yes.
So,
it is.
Yeah. It's the most creative force of the zodiac.
Okay.
Because
Fascinating.
it's like taking your sexual energy and creating anything out of it.
Okay.
You can't become any more of a creation goddess. You've got enough Pisces going on.
All
She's
right.
a queen of the O. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
Virgo is like, all right, it's not just about getting to the end. Like, what about the whole journey there?
Yeah.
You're like learning to perfect both in life and in the bedroom, how to do things in a more sensual, refined, graceful way.
Should I add to my hinge I'm the queen of the orgasm?
If you want to. Yes, period.
I also know that I'm an Aries sun and Scorpio moon, and I know that that is like connected to your root chakra, which is the chakra of, having fun.
Yes. Well, the root chakra and the sacral chakra.
Okay.
Because we're thinking of like that rooted energy is very scorpionic and very Aries. Like it's very masculine to be rooted. But then both of these are also ruling over the genitals.
Mm-hmm.
So like creation, sexuality. On top of that, the Sag rising, Sagittarius is the sign of like the sensuality of the soul.
Oh, okay.
Taurus is like physical sensuality.
All right.
But Sagittarius is when you touch that and you feel the electricity pulsing through a human being, that's Sag.
Okay.
So you've got a Sag rising with a Scorpio moon and an Aries sun. Mama, oh my God. There's going to be a spice level that you're going to have that's big.
Okay.
So
that's not true.
And then paired with all of the Pisces, like the Venus in Pisces, the planet of love, sensuality, and sex, and the sign of orgasm.
Yes.
Come on.
All right. I feel like this podcast episode is just being turned into why you should have sex with me.
Hey, put it on your Hinge profile.
Yeah, exactly. My birth chart says I'm great at this.
I love that. Now, when we look at your career placement in the birth chart, it's ruled by Libra.
Okay.
So you're meant to work with clients or work with people. You're helping other people win their battles because at home in your personal life, you have to face a lot of your own.
Yeah.
Like that's the emphasis. Aries rules your personal life in your birth chart.
Yeah. Oh.
So at home or when you're not working, it's about you doing your thing. So you're like, you want to get out of yourself. You want to go and help other people for a living.
Okay.
You know?
Well, that would literally make sense because that is this podcast. That is the book I'm writing. That is, I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to get bar certified to teach bar to disabled populations. It's
Libra. Bringing justice to not only yourself, but others in the world.
People.
Yes.
Yes.
You want to hit all of the demographics.
All right. Yes. And then as an Aries, listen. Personal life, it's always a bit of a mess.
Well, because Aries is like that action-oriented energy. You move slowly in your career and it's always a constant up. Like you're always ascending.
Okay.
It's done in a balanced fashion.
All right.
Because at home, mama's got that Aries placement. Like she wants to go.
Yeah.
You know? You were also born with Saturn right on top of the sun in your birth chart. So that's going to show someone who's an incredibly old soul.
I get that a lot. People are always surprised when I say I'm only 26.
Yeah.
They say, oh, really? Like I have an energy that's a lot older.
Yeah. Saturn is like maturity and wisdom.
Okay.
So to me, it's your wisdom. It's the way that you carry yourself, the way that you speak. It's very Saturnian. Okay. But it's still in the sign of Aries with your sun sign. So it's like youthful, playful, wise.
Okay.
You know?
That makes sense because I have like a very probably, like I say, the hook of this podcast is like,
Yeah.
it's about trauma and spirituality, which are like big things, but I talk like it's all a joke.
That's the Sag
Yeah.
rising.
Okay.
It's putting the sugar on the pill or the spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down.
Okay.
Because Sagittarius, it's the sign of like having to have lived with demons in one fashion or another.
Okay.
So all of the surgeries you've endured, if there have been other health issues, especially earlier in life, like
Yeah, I
these
did.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just a Sagittarius thing.
Okay.
A lot of Sages that I know like grew up with a bipolar parent or similar to Scorpio, but Sages rather than Scorpio like being on the receiving end of trauma, Sagittarius has learned to dodge the trauma. That's why it has a 1-up on Scorpio.
Okay.
Because you can either like be in the depths of the underworld and feeling all of the trauma, or you can learn to dodge it.
Learn to dodge it.
Yeah.
All right.
But you've got a Scorpio moon with a Sag rising, so you know
Yes.
how to do both.
I know how to do both.
And transmute.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
And now I can, so now when people are surprised that I'm only 26, it's not an insult to my skin. It is, because I'm always like, do I have wrinkles?
No,
Yes.
you look incredibly youthful, but your energy has such deep wisdom.
Okay.
And your birth chart just reinforces that.
All right.
You know, it makes sense.
Okay, so I could, all right. I feel a lot better about this.
Yes. The last thing that I want to point out in your birth chart is you were born with Mercury retrograde.
I was born with Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, in
Are
the
you
sign of Aries.
That's insane. Because Mercury retrograde always hits really hard for me.
Ah.
Yes, like it always hits really hard for me.
Okay.
Like things always happen.
Interesting. Well, given that we've already got Saturn on top of the sun, Saturn is the planet of restriction, and Aries, the sun, is in your chart in Aries, the sign of just being yourself. So your biggest restriction is like just being able to be yourself. And it doesn't sound like personality wise. It sounds like it's the health stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So Mercury retrograde going over your personal life placement in your birth chart, when you're not at work, like your personal life, you got some things you got to review. There's details and like you have to focus on the details at home.
Okay.
And with your health and like these kinds of things. So that's why Virgo North Node, it's Mercury's planet.
That makes a lot of sense. Like I frequently say, I'm like, I am so tired of almost dying.
Because your health,
my body not working.
It literally depends on the details.
Okay.
So you're being forced to become more detail oriented through your health challenges.
All right.
This is actually the biggest part of your birth chart that's for your soul's development.
Okay. Well,
so
that's like the biggest part of my life. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Once you learn this lesson in this lifetime, you get to carry over the detail orientedness in future lifetimes.
Oh, great.
It just like downloads into your soul if you learn it.
Okay. So in the future, things will be better.
Well, I want you to think of all of the detail orientedness that you face in your personal life rather than as a burden, as the thing that's helping you achieve your destiny.
Okay.
Like, I know that sounds silly.
No, that's beautiful. I'm going to, no, Delulu positivity is how I live. So I'm going to cling to that.
Yeah. And the more that you pay respects to this Mercury retrograde that's begging for your attention because of the destiny in Virgo, Virgo's ruled by Mercury, Mercury retrograding in your personal life, translation, health issues are going to require way more attention than normal. And this is what's helping you perfect yourself into grace and excellence.
Yeah, see, astrology really does predict the future. That is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, well, it's in your birth chart.
Yeah.
You know? So this is just about everything that I've got looking at your chart.
Well, thank you for affirming that
You're
everything
welcome.
that was supposed to happen has happened.
Of course.
Oh my God, this was absolutely incredible. And you guys can head over to Danny's website to find out how you can unlock this from him yourself, because that was crazy and wildly accurate. And remember to just like, subscribe, review, leave a comment, all the things. I don't know. Follow me on Instagram at Gabriella Rebranded. Guys, this has been amazing. Danny, thank you so much for coming on.
It's such an honor. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks. This was amazing.
Yeah,
all
it
right,
was a
guys.
blast.
Win most, lose some. This has been Gabriella Rebranded.